Yeah, got 3 sisters and 1 brother, and they're all gone.
Okay.
All except me.
Okay.
I had 1 sister that lived to be 100 years old.
She hit 100.
Yeah, she made it to 100.
Let's describe the personalities of your family. So let's start with your mom. So do you remember if you were to describe your mom
Yeah.
in 1 word?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
what would?
you want to see that girl right there?
Yeah.
And Donna.
Yeah.
Okay. And Maria. When I add Maria, right there was the personality of my mother.
What is that? What is that?
Patient, kind, and gentle, and never, hardly would ever say a bad word at all, you know. But I don't know where she had all of her patience at, because she had enough to vex a saint.
Wow.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
And those old folks, they worked like slaves, really.
Mm-hmm.
But Mom would put out a big, big garden. I mean, a monstrous of a garden, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, I didn't realize she worked so hard. You know, here it is. We you know how it is. You know how kids think, you know. Well, I had my share.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that way, too.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to add to that tape there,
Mm-hmm.
in the old home place there when we lived at the mill, Mom found a $5 gold piece out there, and I've still got that $5 gold piece.
No way.
And it was made in 1844. And she gave it to me at least 50 years ago. I've had it at least 50 years. And that it was in the garden. She was in the garden there. We lived on the old farm, then we lived what they call the mill place. There are 2 different places. But anyhow, I had an uncle that was a diviner, you know, a water witch and things like that. He come down there one day, and we thought we could find more money. He put a coin, a dime, on the end of a stick, you know, like finding water witching. Okay. And very few people can do it, but he so-called could do it. But anyhow, he found more money out there in the garden. Well, I want to tell you something. My brother and I dug a hole big enough to bury a horse in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. Wow. We never found enough. No, we didn't go deep enough.
Yeah.
You know?
How old were you, probably?
Oh, my. I was in my 20s at that time. I was married.
So you're older.
At that time, I'm a lot older, yeah.
All right, describe your dad. If you were going to describe a characteristic or his personality or whatever, what would you say?
Well, he's a farmer, he was an organizer, and he had the patience of Job with us kids, you know, and hard worker. I mean, I want to tell you something. They talk about slaves are working hard. I want to tell you something. If you back up far enough, they had to clear that land with muscle and guts, horses and chains. In some cases, we didn't use dynamite, but he had a lot of that land he had to clear. Another thing I want to mention, on that farm, he bought it in 1920, and he only paid the interest on the money till in the early 40s. Couldn't pay nothing on the principal, and the interest was 6%. 6%. He borrowed something like $5,600. I don't know where they even had enough money to even get a hold of it, but he got a hold of that land, and 156 acres of land is not very much in today's world, but in that year of time, they all made a living at it. Mm-hmm. You could make a living off it. You can't do it no more, but that was the era of time that's gone.
Wasn't regulated.
No, and the land didn't yield 20. You get wheat if you got 20 bushel per the acre. You thought you was doing good. My goodness, they're probably getting a couple of hundred bushel per the acre now.
Yeah. All right. If you were to describe Donna's personality,
yeah.
What would you say?
Just like my mama.
Really? Patient?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
That's where they get it, I guess.
I see. I'll tell you the truth. I see Mom and Donna almost at every solitary turn. That's the truth. And there again, Marie was the same way too. I see her characteristics, the things, how she would handle a given situation. Mom had enough to upset the saints, but she didn't. She kept it under control. But anyhow, that's just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom was always concerned with the food chain. Well, that's natural. She put out the garden. Us dummies didn't have enough sense. We had to be fed.
Yeah.
And the cannon, they were canning stuff all the time. That's another thing. Can you imagine firing a wood stove kitchen in the summertime, cooking a meal, preserving pressure cooking of canned food, firing that stove, and it had to be hotter than blazes.
So the house was hot.
The whole house was hot.
Constant, yeah.
Well, yeah.
So when you're cooking.
In the summertime, you already got 100-degree temperature outside. You'll be able to fire the cooking stove. You know what you got. And no refrigeration either at that time. Another thing, what a preservative this was. After the dinner was over, put a cover over what food was left, you know. And the flies, if the flies didn't eat it all, you got what was left.
So it's not compared to what it's like today. Like, we had some flies out there, but I mean, it's probably a lot different.
Yeah, well, anyhow, we would have a fly driving contest, you know. That's the truth. We had to get sheets, flop the flies out the back door. One man said one time, well, Joe, why are you taking them screens off of your windows out there? Don't you know that keeps the fly out? He said, I know it. I'm taking the screens off so the flies can get out. That's about a lot the way it was. But, yeah, everybody had the same thing. You live with that environment. That's just the way it was done.
All right, well, describe Kevin. If you were to describe Kevin's personality.
Kevin?
Yeah, if you were to describe Kevin.
Well, I would say more or less he's a lot like his mama, you know, to a certain extent. And he resembles the Welker family because they're kind of tall, a little taller. The Fadler family in general has the tendency to be kind of short. Mm-hmm. You know, that's our tendency.